What should I play today? Let's have a look. There's not really much to play here. Ooh, actually, what's this? Wow, it's got so much dust on here. I don't even know how long it's been sat like this. Yeah, it's not really a problem. I'll just blow the dust off quick. So in this video we're going to be talking about the original Plants vs Zombies, by the way, not any of the new ones like Plants vs Zombies 3 or like Plants vs Zombies Neighborhood. So I'm just going to highlight the basics now, just in case you grew up on Fortnite.
If I shoot you, you're in the clan.
Plants vs Zombies is a game that is set on a 9x5 grid. Essentially what you have to do is keep placing plants down, enabled to basically just protect Dave's house from any of the oncoming horde, like the zombies. Now of course we all know what Plants vs Zombies is, if you haven't just grown up on TikTok dopamine farming all day. Moving towards actually what I want to talk about in this video, and that is how has it aged over time. You know, playing it anything as a kid was entertaining, but playing it now could be a totally different experience, and it could be boring or just only feeling nostalgia for something, and then when actually playing it, not so entertaining as it used to be. For reference, I was about 3 years old when this game came out, so I was like very young. I don't think I ended up playing it until a few years later, but obviously for this video I replayed the entirety of the game in about a few days, just to, you know, really test how I would actually feel after playing it for like ages. And with that in mind, I hope you enjoy. Now we're starting with a daytime stage in the front garden of Crazy Dave's house. You'll start with usually, well, a single lane, moving to then 3 after your first level, and then moving up to 5, which is the normal amount for any map in this game later on. Now, obviously, the thing I like about this game is it doesn't really have a tutorial, or better to say it has a tutorial built into the game, which is actually something I really like, because it doesn't really overstay its welcome and is a lot better for more experienced players to actually, you know, come back to the game and not have to go through like a overly, like, you know, hand holding experience in definitely a lot of other games. Moving on from the tutorial part of the game, I would like to show the roster of plants that you will have for this section of the game, being daytime. So you start with the pea shooter, sunflower, cherry bomb, walnut, potato mine, snow pea, chomper, and the repeater. I'm not going to lie, these are pretty solid picks for the entire game. You can use these almost in any point, and I have no complaints about them. I use them for basically all of my run, except for a few. At this stage in the game, it isn't anything crazy, with only 5 zombies being the regular zombie, the flag zombie, which is pretty much the same as the regular, just with a flag, the conehead zombie, which is the second strongest, and then the buckethead zombie, which is the strongest out of all 5 that you actually encounter here. And then you've got also the pole jumping zombie, which is the fastest and also can jump over plants. For this section in the game overall, I didn't really have any problems with it. I wasn't really getting bored. It's just plain and simple, but it does simple in a good way. I would not say I got really bored through this part. It wasn't hard, but you know, I enjoyed playing it, so I have no complaints for this level. On to the next one. For this part of the game, I've kind of just found it straight ass. I mean, I found it boring as a kid, and as a kid you're almost entertained by anything. I think what the nighttime in this game does wrong here is it's just really, really slow. I think they could have increased the pace just a tiny bit more, because you just came out of daytime and you've just got used to the mechanics to the game. Then slowing it down again, I feel like you're just going to bore the player instead of, you know, giving them a little faster pace now that they're used to it. Although personally I dislike this part of the game, it does have some plants that I actually like a lot, like the Doom Shroom and the Hypno Shroom. The Doom Shroom just kind of blows up a lot. It's like a increased chili, but since it takes longer to gather suns in this part of the game, it has a bigger effect, which I like a lot. The Hypno Shroom is just funny to use, honestly. I like using it on the dancing zombie, because I think when it spawns the backup dancers, they also eat people, so I think that's the reason I like that one. The plants you obtain in this area are usually just the Puff Shroom, the Sun Shroom, Fume Shroom, Gravebuster, Hypno Shroom, Scaredy Shroom, Ice Shroom, the Doom Shroom. Basically all just mushrooms. The only thing I don't like about them is you can't use any of them in the day, which means they just sleep whenever you use them, which is a real, you know, kind of pain in the ass if you want to actually, you know, if you like a plant and you can't use it in the day, it kind of just ruins it. But I don't know, I think that's the part I dislike about this as well. Even though this part has mostly been negative so far, I actually do like some parts in this game, which is the new zombies. You've got the newspaper zombie, screen door zombie, football zombie, dancing zombie, and the backup dancers. Personally, I really like the dancing zombies just because I think it actually adds some like sort of parts I'm actually scared about, like when the backup dancers come up. Only because, you know, they can come out multiple times, which means you have to kind of panic and place more things where the dancer is, or just quickly blow it up. Another zombie that is actually also pretty good is the football zombie. I think it's a bit of a weird place to add it into the game, but honestly, it does make it a lot harder. I think I struggle with these zombies all throughout the game, so honestly, I think this is, you know, I think as a kid I would definitely struggle on this, and I did now, so I will definitely give that a plus side for this area. I think as a whole for this area though, I'm not a big fan. I've never been a big fan of the nighttime levels in this game anyway. On to the next one.
The back garden definitely adds a step up that was needed in the night area. This is due to the introduction of the pool, which has a different way of strategizing, especially when placing any suns down. I had to place 2 rows of suns on each side, and then place lily pads, which is the new plant that you'll get, I think the first one, but you use those to then place sunflowers on top of, so you actually have the full 2 rows of suns, which is definitely, I would say, a lot more challenging to do, because you also have to protect the other suns. But yeah, I think it adds an interesting mix. It adds a pace that was trying to be implemented by nighttime, but it was just way too slow, and this one does it really nicely because it speeds up quite a bit in the end. You should know the drill by now. In this area you obtain the lily pad, the squash, the free peter, the tangle kelp, the jalapeno, the spikeweed, the torchwood, and the tall nuts. Honestly, there's probably not one here that I haven't used at least a few times. They're all really solid plants. I think the only one that I don't like too much is the spikeweed. It just doesn't have a use. It's just like a useless pea shooter that you can place like where the zombies start, but they don't do a lot of damage. Other than that, they're really, really solid plants, and I would use them in almost any stage of the game. For the zombies of this area, we have the ducky tube zombie, and all of its variations, like the cone head and, you know, just normal zombies. You got the snorkel zombie, the zomboni, the zombie bobsled team, the dolphin rider zombie, and I will say again, these are some pretty good zombies for these areas. I actually think they were really hard, and I lost a few levels, which means, you know, me losing them as a kid, you know, wouldn't make such a big deal, but me losing now, you can already tell the difficulty has increased in this area, which is why I generally like this more than the nighttime. Now on to the next area. I will say I do dislike this part, and I know it's kind of been a trend that I don't like the night times in this game, but I would definitely say this is better than the original night, just because obviously your arsenal is now a lot larger, giving you more options to use, but you've also got, you know, the pool and different zombies. I think it definitely spices it up a lot more, and is just better than the original nighttime. Now for the only new part of this entire area.
The fog is coming! The fog is coming! The fog is coming! The fog is coming! The fog is coming!
Oh! What fog, Squidward? I don't see any fog. It's a sunny day outside.
I personally do not like the fog that much in this part of the level, mainly because you get the lantern and the blower. And then as soon as you're kind of established, you know, a bunch of sun shrooms down, you can kind of just keep using the blower and stuff to blow it away. So I think it's, you know, not really that much different to the regular nighttime, which is something I just dislike about the fog. So now moving into the plants for this side, you are given the sea shroom, plantain, cactus, blower, split pea, starfruit, pumpkin, and the magnet. A lot of these plants I would not personally use, just because obviously it's nighttime stuff. So, you know, especially for endgame, I didn't use any of these, maybe except for trying to use the hypno shroom, but that's a nighttime one. So, you know, a lot of these are just quality of life ones for newer zombies. There is only actually 4 zombies for this level, being the Jack-in-the-Box zombie, the balloon zombie, the digger zombie, and the pogo zombie, which, honestly, they're all nothing exactly special, maybe except for the pogo is the only, you know, interesting one, because you have to kind of be quick with that one. But other than that, I think they're all just kind of mid. I did actually lose on a few of these levels though, so I will say they are, you know, like, I'd say they're decently difficult, but I don't know, it's nothing great. I would definitely not recommend this part of the game. So if you couldn't tell, this was the last part of the game. It definitely does feel like it. This is probably my favourite part as a kid. It introduces all the different new catapults and stuff into the game. I think I definitely did favourite them. It also stops you from using any sort of pea shooters because of the sloped roof. It's about 5 tiles that are sloped, and you might be able to use the top one. I'm not actually sure yet. But yeah, which means they may get eaten if you don't place them down with a good defense. The good part about this that actually makes it quite hard is they've introduced plant pots, which makes you re-strategize, since they're now, you know, basically the only thing you can plant on, and if they go, obviously the roof is made out of tiles, so you actually can't place anything on them. Which means if a zombie is to eat one of the plant pots, you'll have to replace it, basically making you vulnerable temporarily until you actually, you know, place another one down. They're actually all really good this time. I might be glazing them just a tiny bit, but I liked them as a kid anyway, so, you know, I think I'm gonna like them now. So we've got the cabbage pot, flower pot, which is, you know, just what you need to use to plant stuff on. The kernel pot, the coffee bean, garlic, umbrella leaf, marigold, and the melon pot, which is the strongest, I believe, and it also does splash, so it's pretty OP. Now for the last set of plants, I did use like mainly the cabbage and the kernel pot, but I also did use the melon pot a little bit. I would say I also used like the only two like upgraded ones that I used was the Gatling Pea and the Double Suns, which also were very handy, especially the Double Suns in endgame. For the zombies, we have the bungee zombie, the ladder zombie, the gargantuan zombie, and the imp. And the final boss, which I will get to in a sec. These zombies are actually quite annoying, which is a good thing, I think. The bungee zombie was definitely a pain in the ass to go against, especially if it took out a double sun in the later game. But, you know, I think the gargantuan zombie was a little too easy if you had the squashers, because they just, you know, take them down in about 2 hits. This part of the game is completely different, and it also has night built into it, so I really can't complain, because it skips the part that I don't like. So let's get into the nighttime now. So this is what you've been waiting for. The final boss is Dr. Zomboss. It's not like a, I don't say it was a tiny bit underwhelming, but honestly, I did struggle on this fight because I didn't understand how the ice and fireballs worked, so I kept dying a lot. So, you know, I could definitely say it was decently difficult, even for my dumbass. So, I would say, you know, it was pretty much RNG most of the time, if I was actually going to win or not. But, like, for the actual gameplay wise, it was a conveyor belt level where you just get fed plants for rows. But, honestly, I enjoyed it. I definitely would recommend this part of the game, even for the night time. I guess I didn't have to use the sun shrooms, so I definitely enjoyed it more. But yeah, I would totally recommend this part of the game. I think it's really good. Now to answer the actual question of the video, how has it held up today? And I think you already know the answer, because, you know, Plants vs Zombies is one of the only type of games that's kind of set like this. And with the success that it's had with multiple different games, I can imagine you know what my answer is going to be. But I will explain why first. I think this game, even though it's, you know, I think it took me around 6 hours to complete, there's not really a part where you're just getting bored. And I played this, you know, I played this in about a week, which seems like still pretty long, but for me, you know, that's decently quick. I would definitely recommend anyone who hasn't played this before, you know, for any fetuses that haven't heard of this game, I would definitely give it a recommendation. But yeah, honestly, I couldn't really think of anything bad about this game, except for the fact that it's not got the versus mode on PC from the Xbox and PS4 copy of the game. So honestly, yeah, shit game.